As one of the last things He says to His disciples before He ascends back to the Father, He says, "You will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria and to the ends of the earth." Now remember our latter prophets' visions of the end-time temple. What is the water that's flowing out from the temple doing? It's increasing. It's covering more and more of the earth until it has flowed from one sea to the other, from the east to the west. You shall be witnesses to me in Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria, and to the uttermost parts of the earth. That is your word. That is your law of the Lord. That is the waters flowing out of the temple. You want a beautiful snapshot of what the end-time temple is really going to look like? Dan did a beautiful job teaching this passage when he was teaching through 1 Peter chapter 2. Here's your end-time temple. As you come to Christ, a living stone rejected by men, but in the sight of God chosen and precious, you yourselves, like living stones, are being built up into a what? Spiritual house. A temple. A spiritual house to an holy priesthood, to be a holy priesthood and to offer spiritual sacrifices. Christ is the living cornerstone. He is the temple. He is that upon which all of the living stones rest, Carl. And God, in His grace and mercy, is taking wretched, fallen, no good sinners like you and I and making us stones in His temple. So we see here that Christ Himself, the last Adam, is the cornerstone of the end-time temple. He's the cornerstone of this temple. His gospel is the river of life flowing out from the throne of God. His disciples are the stones in this spiritual house, in this spiritual temple. And these stones are indwelled by the unique presence of God. But we don't just sit on our laurels, do we? No. By the gospel, we do what Adam should have done. We do what Israel should have done. And by the gospel of Jesus Christ, we spread the glory and the worship of God to the nations for their healing. Even to the ends of the earth, we spread this gospel. Even to the Caraway tribe, we spread the gospel for the healing of the nations. Oh, do you see the richness of that? Did your heart not bleed for these people as Trevor shared with us the horror of their existence because they have not the gospel of Jesus Christ? Oh, it's for the healing of the nations. It's not, well, I won't go there. It's for the nations and their healing. And we do this. Oh, is this not beautiful? We do this as Christ stands among us as the tree of life and light. Remember, He was the tree of life in the garden. He was the representative, the representative almond tree hammered out of gold that was a lampstand that illuminated the sacrifices there in the temple of the Old Testament. He was standing among His people, and today He has said, you go make disciples, you carry the gospel for the healing of the nations, and while you do that, I'm going to stand right in your midst. I am with you always, even to the end of the age. And as we see all of this, we are literally covering Genesis to Revelation. We are literally covering the comprehensive, redemptive purpose of God from one end of Scripture to the other with this concept that we find the seeds of right here in Genesis chapter 2. But we find that as this water of life flows out from us, as the tree of life, Christ, stands, if you will, in our midst, that all of history is rising to this penultimate, this culminating event where the echoes of Eden and the echoes of Solomon's temple are going to resound in triumphant glory in the heavenly city, New Jerusalem, that temple coming down from God out of heaven. Do you see that, guys? So what were the sanctuary features common to both Eden and to the temple that we find here in this heavenly city? Well, the New Jerusalem is most assuredly going to be a unique place of the presence of God. Here, John, as the angel carries him away, and he hears a loud voice, not from the angel, but from the throne, from the very mouth of God Himself. It is said, "Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man, and He will dwell with them, and they will be His people, and God Himself will be with them as their God." There's no more comforting statement to a child of God that could ever be uttered. God Himself